It was the 1700s, and the world was a very different place. America, as we know it today, didn't exist. Instead, there were 13 colonies stretched along the Atlantic coast, all ruled by Great Britain. These colonies were like rebellious teenagers, full of potential but frustrated with their parent country, the British Crown. What led to their eventual independence is a story of courage, persistence, and unity. Life in the 13 colonies wasn't all bad. Many settlers came to America to seek a better life, escaping religious persecution or poverty back in Europe. The colonies thrived on farming, trade, and industries like shipbuilding. However, there was one major problem. They were under British rule. This meant they had to follow British laws and pay taxes, even though they had no representatives in the British Parliament. This lack of representation gave rise to the famous slogan, "No taxation without representation." The British government imposed taxes on everyday items like tea, paper, and sugar, which angered the colonists. Imagine paying extra just for drinking your favorite tea. To protest, many colonists began boycotting British goods, laying the groundwork for rebellion. One event that escalated tensions was the Boston Tea Party in 1773. Picture this. A group of colonists disguised as Native Americans boarded British ships and dumped 342 chests of tea into the Boston harbor. This bold act of defiance sent a clear message to Britain. The colonies would no longer tolerate unfair taxes. But Britain didn't back down. Instead, they passed the Intolerable Acts, a series of harsh laws that punished Massachusetts for the Tea Party. The colonies realized they couldn't fight Britain alone. So in 1774, they formed the First Continental Congress, where representatives from the colonies gathered to discuss their grievances and plan their next steps. The first shots of the American Revolution were fired on April 19, 1775, in the towns of Lexington and Concord in Massachusetts. No one knows who fired the first shot, but it's famously called the shot heard round the world. This marked the beginning of a war that would last 8 long years. The colonists didn't have a professional army, but they had something even more powerful: determination. Farmers, blacksmiths, and shopkeepers joined militias to fight against one of the most powerful empires in the world. Leading them was George Washington, a charismatic and skilled general who would later become America's first president. By 1776, the colonies were ready to break free from Britain. On July 4th, 1776, representatives from the colonies adopted the Declaration of Independence, written by Thomas Jefferson. This document didn't just declare America's independence, it also outlined the ideals of freedom, equality, and the pursuit of happiness. These ideas would inspire people around the world for centuries. Interesting fact, the Declaration wasn't signed by all the representatives on July 4th. Some signed it later, and it wasn't until August 2nd, 1776, that most delegates had added their names. The war wasn't easy for the colonists. The British had a well-trained army, plenty of resources, and a powerful navy. But the colonists had help from unexpected allies. France, Spain, and the Netherlands joined the fight against Britain. French General Marquis de Lafayette became a close friend of George Washington and played a significant role in the war. One of the most critical battles was the Battle of Saratoga in 1777. This American victory convinced France to officially ally with the colonies. The French provided troops, weapons, and their navy, which turned the tide of the war. The final major battle of the Revolution was the Battle of Yorktown in 1781. With the help of French forces, the American army trapped British General Lord Cornwallis and his troops in Yorktown, Virginia. Surrounded and outnumbered, Cornwallis surrendered. This marked the beginning of the end of British rule in America. 2 years later, in 1783, the Treaty of Paris was signed, officially recognizing the United States as an independent nation. The colonists had done the impossible. They had defeated the most powerful empire in the world and gained their freedom. America's independence was a milestone in world history. It inspired other countries to fight for their own freedom, including France during the French Revolution in 1789. The Declaration of Independence remains one of the most important documents ever written, symbolizing hope and democracy. The story of America's independence is more than just battles and dates. It's a story about standing up for what you believe in, even when the odds are against you. The colonists showed that unity and determination can overcome even the greatest challenges. Today, the United States is a global leader in science, technology, and culture. And it all began with a group of determined individuals who dared to dream of freedom. For teenagers today, this story is a reminder that change often starts with young, bold ideas and the courage to take action. Fun fact, George Washington was so admired that when he became president, people offered to make him king. He refused, saying, "I didn't fight to free America from one king just to become another." His humility set the foundation for the democratic government the U.S. has today. The journey to independence was long and challenging, but it shaped the United States into a nation built on principles of liberty and justice. The story of America's founding is one of resilience and hope, a story worth remembering and celebrating. What inspires you about the history of America? Let us know in the comments and be sure to subscribe to our channel. Until next time, stay inspired.